Welcome to the Hispanic Heritage Show. I'm Valerie Cavazos. Tonight, our year in review, a look back at 2004 and also a look ahead to what's in store for us in 2005.
We examine the state of Latino media coverage and our inclusion in creating it. We learned we made some progress in business and found a place where we need to improve. Our education's still the top concern of almost everyone. And what we learned about the dangers of our current diet scared even us. The Hispanic Heritage Show is sponsored by Cox Communications, Touchtone Energy Cooperatives, and Precision Toyota.
Precision Toyota of Tucson, your best decision for 50 years.
For a few years now, the spotlight has been shining brightly on us. We're now the majority minority, and this brought us a lot of attention locally and nationally in 2004. Where we felt it the most was during the elections. The Latino vote, we learned, was up for grabs. We Hispanics have long been associated with the Democratic Party, as are most minority groups. But Democrats can no longer take our votes for granted. The Hispanic community has increasingly become more independent-minded, like this young Latina.
The independent gives me more flexibility, so I can vote for
I think
the issues, not the party.
You cannot say this person is a Latino, so he's a Democrat, because we cover very many different spectrums in the community.
A recent survey shows 24% of Hispanics who were registered to vote call themselves independent, about 40% Democrats, and 25% Republican. Exit polls in the 2004 elections revealed that the re-elected president drew 44% of the Latino voters, as opposed to Senator John Kerry's 53%. In less than 10 years, the Republicans have managed to increase their presidential poll on Latino voters by 109%. Research also showed in 2004 that more Hispanics get their news from English-language television, which proved to be a bit of a problem for the candidates. Hearing each candidate's sides of the issue from a cultural perspective may not be reaching the larger segment of the Hispanic community. Both candidates are spending millions of dollars airing Spanish-language ads, but Julio Garcia, a first-generation bilingual Mexican-American doctor, says he only watches mainstream television to get his news.
Not very much Spanish language media. It's because it doesn't seem to be as relevant to my life.
A recent Pew Hispanic Center survey found that the majority of likely Hispanic voters, 61%, get their news entirely from English language media. 11% watch only in Spanish. We took a long, hard look at this trend in 2004. There's no question that there's more media coverage of Latinos than, say, 20 years ago. But given the population explosion that's occurred in the past decade, particularly here in Arizona, Hispanics, we discovered, are still dramatically underrepresented in virtually all traditional media.
From ABC News
on the CBS Evening News.
I feel that too often, not always, but too often the media concentrates on negative aspects, say crime or gangs or people that are failing in the schools.
Funny, but Frank Sotomayor still finds himself saying the very same words that spurred the Latino journalism movement he was part of some 20 years ago. There is rarely coverage of the complete picture, rarely coverage of the positive. So what's to be done?
We need to look beyond kind of the stereotypes and see what is really happening out there. There's a lot of people who are very successful, Hispanics in all walks of life. I think we need to focus on them too.
Some local news managers gave us their perspectives of current coverage of Hispanics, including Michael Chihak, publisher of the Tucson Citizen.
And we have to recognize that people are going to be interested in the media if they see themselves in it. And if we can reflect the faces, the names, and the issues, then they'll be attracted to it.
You're watching K-Gun 9 News.
How we doing with the live shots and everything? They want to see who's out there catering to them, but they don't want to be treated differently. Because for them is, I'm a Latino, I'm a Hispanic, but I'm also an American. So treat me with that respect.
But it is a long-term effort, which Fernando found out few stations were willing to invest in.
It's not a priority. It became the fourth to fifth in the scale, 1 to 10.
Because stations were looking for a quick financial return on their investment. Hollywood, on the other hand, is very interested in investing in the Hispanic market, though we found out they need more support from their target Latino audience. A new crop of Latino-themed shows were produced in 2004, but were short-lived. WB's Greetings from Tucson canceled after 1 season. Showtime's Resurrection Boulevard canceled after 3 seasons. Very few Latino-themed shows survive long-term. Why is that? Is Hollywood racist?
Hollywood is not racist. In a sense, they are racist. They like one color, and that's green.
Everything in this country runs on economics. And so everyone is following the dollar.
Executives or studios or networks, they don't really care. They discriminate. They don't care about if you're Latino or Chinese or, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. If you bring a product to them that they know they're going to make money on, you can be anybody.
To become a hit on the major networks, those shows that specifically address ethnic culture must also have crossover appeal, which is why one ABC executive has said the next wave of shows will not have all Hispanic casts.
The new wave is that most people don't realize in suburbia, 40% of all couples are interracial marriages.
And Leone's new project with Disney reflects how our world is changing.
I'm actually going to try to develop a bicultural family show.
Leone and other Latino producers get frustrated with the lack of support their projects have gotten from the very people the shows were designed for, us. Hispanics can't even take the credit for the success of the George Lopez show. Just 16% of the popular show's audience is Latino.
The Latinos working in media need to be supported. It's one of my big beefs. I mean, I think back on Resurrection Boulevard, where 55% of my audience was Anglo, and 30% of the audience was African American, and only 15% of the audience was Latino. And here the show was, I was doing it for Latinos. And until Latinos come together, yes, we are 35, 40 million people with however many billions of dollars that we spend, until we come to understand that we need to support the things that are being done for our benefit, we will not advance.
Although there are encouraging signs, most news managers and Hollywood producers agree. We still have a long way to go to meld into the mainstream media, but hey, things look brighter in business in 2004. Next, a look at how we're changing the economic landscape of the nation. 2004 was the year of the Latina in business. This past year, we reported Latinos are outpacing all other startups 3-1. The Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce announced in 2004 that it's changing. It's assuming more responsibilities as more companies try to reach our exploding market. And for the first time, Latinas take the helm of that organization. The Chamber has had a long list of Latinos at the helm in its 15 years of existence. But all that has changed. Not only has a Latina, Elizabeth Gonzalez gone, taking the chair for the coming year, but for the first time in Chamber history, another Latina will succeed her, Chair-elect Monica Contreras.
In the next 50 years, we're going to be a very, very important group, and we are changing the face of America. It's all wonderful. It's a lot of us out there. But if we don't have representation, if we don't have Latinos, and especially Latinas, in positions of power, of decision-making, I'm not sure that we can advance our economic, social, and political interests in a very effective way. We need to do it. This is what we owe our children. This is what we owe our community.
Sounds like a lot of pressure the two Latinas have put on themselves.
Absolutely. We have a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility, but I think that's what motivates us to make a difference in this community.
And the timing couldn't be more perfect for that amount of ambition. As Business Week reported in 2004, the U.S. has never faced a demographic change quite like this before. As Business Week puts it, move over, baby boomers. The baby boomers are coming. We Hispanics are 39 million strong, bilingual, bicultural, mostly younger Hispanics, who will drive growth in the U.S. population and workforce as far out as statisticians can project. In fact, our numbers are so great that, like the post-war baby boomers before them, the Latino generation is becoming a driving force in the economy, politics, and culture. Here in Arizona, where our population numbers are larger, we will soon be a dominant share of the workforce with an advantage.
The fact that many Latinos are bicultural, bilingual, is a plus. We live in a globalized world, and we live in a global economy.
A Pew Hispanic Center report showed in 2004 a surge in Hispanic employment. Tucson's mayor, who took the time to chat with us, said he's working hard to improve the job market for Latinos.
I'd like to see higher quality jobs, which means a higher average pay. Our average pay is still not as good as we'd like to see it.
And with we Hispanics making up almost 40% of the city's population, the proper training for our expanding workforce is vital to Tucson's success.
We worry about being sure that our young people, when they graduate, have quality jobs waiting for them.
We found out the better jobs were there waiting for our young Hispanics, particularly in the healthcare industry. It is estimated by the year 2020, there will be a nationwide shortage of 400,000 registered nurses. The hospital workforce is not only rapidly aging and retiring, the average age of RNs is 43. Enrollment in RN education programs has declined 22% since 1993. Despite being the largest minority group in the country, Hispanics now make up only 2% of the registered nurse population, according to the Department of Health and Human Services. Hector says there are great opportunities in this field for Hispanics, especially those who are bilingual.
They are seeking more Hispanics because of the population that we're dealing with here. We have a high Hispanic population.
For the workforce to be culturally sensitive to the patients that are from the community, that it's very important for Hispanics to be a part of that profession.
We have a lot of Hispanics who bring in their family, for example. That's just the culture. A lot of people come and visit their family relatives here in the hospital. We try to be real sensitive about that. They really encourage Hispanics to be part of the employee pool.
More and more companies launched aggressive recruiting campaigns in 2004, but many companies in the high-paying, high-skilled sector struggle to find qualified Latinos. We found out why.
Historically, as a Latino community, we've tended to fill the low-end job sector.
Although past generations had no trouble finding higher-paying jobs in a manufacturer-based economy without even a high school degree,
our economy has shifted. We're no longer a manufacturing-based economy. We're a service-based economy.
which requires much more education and skills.
So, presently, with this particular structure of our service-based economy, without a high school degree, or with just only a high school degree, you're not going to be able to get a high-paying job.
But this message, Camarosa says, is not getting to our young Latinos and Latinas.
Previous generations, the idea of college may not have been an option or an idea for members of the Latino community. Maybe they were sort of thinking like, oh, you know, my uncle, my grandfather was in construction, so this is the best option for me. That was generations ago, but as I said, things have changed, things are different now. But I don't think as a society that we have become aware of this change. So our whole orientation to Latino students hasn't caught up with the times.
When we come back, a look at the progress we've made in education in 2004 and what's ahead in 2005. The destiny of our nation depends on making a college degree a goal, an expectation, and a reality for our Latino children. More Latinos may be attending college, but we discovered the challenges keeping them there. Lisette Martinez, who recently became a U.S. citizen, was determined to graduate despite her obstacles with language and culture. The afternoon DJ at K Suave has made it a habit of making things happen for herself, from her arrival here in the United States from Mexico when she was just 10 years old. She spoke no English then and relied on family to help her through the tough teen years, caught between two cultures.
I felt really lonely, and it didn't hit me in high school, it just hit me when I got to college. I'm like, really, where do I belong? You know, I didn't find a little niche or a little group.
So how did you get through college then?
I just had to suck it up. I knew that I had to get things done. I wasn't gonna let that ruin my experience in college, and I felt, I'm just gonna learn to live and understand other people's lives. I started to accept their culture, and they completely accepted me. So then I felt like I belonged somewhere. I was no longer the Mexican girl at the college. I was just another girl at the college.
And Chris faced different challenges that he's been able to overcome with some help.
I'm the first in my family to go to the university and go to college. And I never realized how many people in the community were really willing to support somebody in their decision to go to college.
But don't think for a moment getting to college was easy for Chris. Even his own family was a bit skeptical.
When I first mentioned it to my family, it was almost like they were like, you know, Mijo, are you sure you want to go? You know, college is going to be hard. I have family of friends that are in college or that have gone to college, and they're making less than I am at the same factory or place or wherever they work. I feel like the expectations for me, or that the community has had for me, they haven't been as high as I have had for myself. But I always felt like I wanted to overcome that. It was knowing that